copies of the academic and professional certificates, which we shall say it shall be authenticated. A certificate forms the Official Secrets Act, the Declaration of Income and Assets Act, liabilities form that you, on an initial appointment, which you are supposed to fill. You also to provide a next of kin form, and I want to believe that you ensure that in the next of kin form you have provided the contact of the next of kin. You are to provide medical examination reports and the pension registration. Later on, we shall organize a more detailed lecture to take you through these things. But I want to believe that you have provided all those. I also wanted to say that you were appointed. The offer was appointing you on two grades. One, there was those who were appointed as assistant vocational and technical trainers, job would be J. This was for the diploma holders. And there are those who were appointed as vocational and technical trainers at the job K, and that was for higher diploma and degree holders. If by some reason your letter had an error in that aspect, I believe you notified us as you submit your documents, but I want to assure you that they will be corrected once we process the payroll based on the documents that you submitted. These documents are your academic certificates. Next, I want to say that you are appointed on probation. Probation usually is 6 months, subject to a report from your supervisor on your conduct and professional performance. So after completion of 6 months, you will be required to fill a request. You and your supervisor, that is your principal, will be required to fill a request for confirmation in appointment and admission into permanent and pensionable establishment. Once that is done, then you will be confirmed and you will have your job as permanent. If your report is not satisfactory within the first 6 months, then your probation shall be extended for another period, not more than 3 months, after which, if your performance is still not satisfactory, then you will be terminated. Your contract will be terminated and that chance given to someone else. So it's important that at this stage, you make sure that you observe the required rules and work schedules and perform your duties under your supervisor's guidance as required. There are some of you who may have been appointed as assistant and may have acquired a higher qualification, that's a higher diploma or degree after appointment, may wish to move to the other cadre. That one will be done through a process known as redesignation. And the redesignation is usually initiated by yourself by applying and attaching. There's a regulation. If you check on the Public Service Commission website, there's a detailed regulation on how redesignation is carried out. So I think that is very important for you to understand for now. Then we shall be providing details in a more detailed induction that will come up. Now, on your salaries and allowances, the salary was, the basic salary was indicated in your letter of offer. But I want to say that you are paid a basic salary, and then you are paid rental house allowance as per the region where you are deployed, and you also paid commute allowance, which is uniform across the country. So the variation is only rental house allowance, which is based on where you are deployed. So once you start receiving your salary, you will raise a payslip, and the payslip will provide details of all this. and the total of your salary, that is basic, rental, and commuter, is normally known as gross salary, which you will see on the payslip. And then this is salary before deductions. Gross salary is salary before deductions. And thereafter, there are specific deductions that are normally deducted from your gross salary. And these are normally statutory deductions and any other deductions that you would have initiated yourself. Statutory deductions are compulsory or mandatory deductions, and this include income tax, pension deductions, NSSF deductions, health insurance deductions, and any housing levy, and any other that you may have. And then this is salary before deductions. Gross salary is salary before deductions. We are also saying that your salary is paid. There are specific deductions like normal arrears. That means deducted from paid after salary, and these are you work for a month. Statutory deductions paid at the end of the month. Any other, but this salary is calculated daily. So if you in a month you work for 3 days, then you'll be paid salary for 3 days. If you work for 27 days, you'll be paid salary for 27 days. That's why it's very important that your supervisor provides or furnishes an office with very detailed registers and documentation on your performance. Matters discipline, I want to mention generally that we have a discipline manual that is on the website for Public Service Commission, and it's important you go through it, and so that you can be able to realize what constitutes disciplinary actions and what could be misconduct. But I want to mention that one of the very punitive actions that demand action immediately the date that you service your duty. And these, the principals are normally required to be quite active on that. Then the other aspect that I want us to speak about is about the code of conduct. Your code of conduct. This, remember, you are now an officer of government, and you are expected to behave as such. We have a code of conduct, and there is also the form that you filled, known as code of conduct for public service, where you fill the commitment form, and you need to read that code in detail and ensure that you are supposed to behave or conduct yourself as an officer of government wherever you are, whether at your station or out of your station. So that is very important that you go through it. I want to discourage about coming to work drunk or taking alcohol or substances that affect your reasoning and your thinking during working hours. We have had in the past a number of cases of officers who go to work while they are drunk or intoxicated. We say they are intoxicated. Such is aspect that can lead to your disciplinary action and eventually dismissal from service. So please ensure that you remember you also want to be a role model to your trainees. So ensure that you actually do your job under the guidance of the principal and other senior trainers in the institution, such as the head of department professionally. Where you are in doubt on what action you need to take, please consult. That's why you are under probation, because during the probationary period is a period for you to be taught and guided on a number of on your professional conduct. Remember, we also have a performance appraisal system, so your performance will be assessed regularly, and the scores will be used to determine your career progression. So it's important that you ensure that you maintain high professional standards and also work professionally under the guidance of your supervisors, which include the head of department, the deputy principals, and the other administrative organs of the institution. I believe and I'm sure that you'll be taken through internal induction and orientation within your specific institutions, and that will give you more guidance. On communication, forms of communication, in government, we recognize various forms of communication, and these include written communication, which include letters, memos, circulars, minutes, policy documents, and notices. We also talk about internal communication within the institution. This will be mainly memos, emails, staff notes, brief notes, and etc. But what us to say is about communication, external communication, and that will be between yourself and the other arms of government, including the State Department. This one we stress that you must also read about the communication so that you follow the regulations as provided. Now, in that regard, I want to mention very specifically that any correspondence to the State Department must be done through the principal, who is your supervisor. So henceforth, as soon as you have reported and accepted the offer, we expect all communications to be sent to the principal secretary. If you have a communication to the principal secretary, it must be forwarded and stamped by the principal of your institution. This includes all communication related to your activities, your HR issues, whether you have a complaint on your salary, on your station, on your certificates, on your grade, any communication that you want to bring to the State Department, it should be addressed to the principal secretary and forward. You also don't send, you have the principal secretary, that is State Department for Trade. You don't send directly without your principal, because as you will come to realize, it is very important for us to observe that those communication channels, because if I can give an illustration, you are 2,000 of you, and we do not know your signatures. We do not know who you are in terms of many parameters other than what is in the file. So the reason why it's very important that communication comes from through the principals, because our principals are a contact verifier on the ground. For instance, if someone writes and says you have not come to work, then if we are to receive it directly from anybody, it will mean we stop your salary. But when it has come from the principal, that is our verifier on the ground, our supervisor, will be able to know that that information is authentic. Let me give an example. Someone may write and say you have taken a loan from somewhere else, and you want the ministry to start deducting you money and send to that person. If we don't have the signature of the principal and we implement that, we may find that you are not actually the one who did it. So it's important that all communication, including instructions that you would touch on your payslip. You have taken a loan, you have joined a particular organization which requires some deductions from your payslip. Please communicate to the principal secretary through your principal, that's the supervisor. I also want to mention that the government has classified information. Government information is classified, so please, as you handle government information, please ensure that that information is for you to handle. Don't handle information that is not meant for you to handle. It could land you in problems. So ensure that you read the human resource manual that is on the website to understand on the classification of government information and how to handle the government information. I also want to talk about the use of government official seals and stamps. The seals, logos of the institutions, those are government seals and stamps. And we are saying that the government official seals and stamps are used specifically for official requirements. We do not expect you, these days, soft copies are available everywhere. We do not expect you to start transacting your private matters using the institutional logos and the government's logos like the coat of arms for your private matters, or institutional stamps for your private arrangements. So please ensure that you do not use that. And in case you are doing correspondence that is personal to yourself, ensure you use plain papers or logos that are just unique to you. So in the government, we have leaves that the officers enjoy, and these leaves are as follows: the categories of leaves. We have annual leave, which is usually 30 days and is available to officers subject to exercise of duty. That means you must get an approval. You don't proceed on leave without an approval. Your supervisor must approve, and leaves are approved by the principal. So you have to apply, follow the regulations, and then you are granted. But you're saying for new officers, you don't qualify for leave until you have served for a minimum of 3 months. So you do not qualify for any leave now until you have served for a minimum of 3 months. We have also maternity leave. Maternity leave is for ladies and it's for 90 days. This one is subject to a lady giving birth and is supported by a doctor's report and the birth notification. This one, it has no time. If you give birth tomorrow, you only provide the document and you get that leave. The other leaves are the child adoption leave, maternity leave. Paternity leave is for gentlemen who are married, and the lady that gives you this maternity leave is the one that is registered in your SHA documents. So if you get birth to another lady who is not registered in your SHA, that one cannot qualify you to receive the paternity leave. Other leaves are unpaid leave, compassionate leave, and these other leaves, you'll be able to read the details in the manual, or later on we shall induct you on those details. The next item that I wanted to talk about is about exit from service. Exit from service. We have various forms of exit, and I want to talk about two for now. We have resignation. You may choose to resign from service, and this, upon acceptance, you are required to give a notice, 1 month notice, and if you do not give the notice, then you're supposed to surrender 1 month's gross salary. The other way is by way of dismissal, whereby you can be, you go through an disciplinary process, and then you are dismissed from service. So that one is through a disciplinary process. The one of resignation is for yourself to initiate and give reasons for resignation, and also provide 1 month notice. But during the probationary period, you can exit service through termination. That means if you are unable to perform your duties satisfactorily as required, then the termination process will be initiated by the principal and you can be terminated. Of course, other forms of exit will be like death and retirement. Those ones we shall learn more later when we are going to have that aspect. Now, I want to introduce this concept of transfer of service. It's normally known as transfer of pensionable service. There are some of you who could have been serving in other public service sectors, like for example, the county governments or the state corporations, and have now joined us. So if you are in that category, ensure that you apply for transfer of service from where you are working to the Public Service Commission, that's the National Civil Service, and provide all the supporting documents, all the evidences that indicate that you are working elsewhere. This includes all the previous appointment letters and promotions that you could have received while you are serving in that other organization. And that is only for those who are serving on permanent and pensionable terms. Then finally, I want to talk about training on this aspect. I'll talk about training. We have regulations managing the training of officers, how you attend to your training, how you attend to your courses. And I want to say that policy is on the website. It's known as Human Resource Development Policy. And it requires that you cannot be on training in the first 2 years. Upon appointment, you are not required to attend any course until you complete 2 years. If you go contrary to that, it may lead to your termination or dismissal. So the only exception that we have is for those who have employed while attending courses. If on the day of your employment, you are already registered and undergoing a course, the university or college, then you have exempted, but you are supposed to disclose and obtain permission. And the permission for training in civil service is known as course approval. So you are expected within 1 month of your joining the service to write to the principal secretary through your principal, indicate the courses that you are taking, when you started that course, and the time it's expected to end, who is sponsoring or who is paying, and the name and the course, and attach the relevant documents, including the admission letters, professional transcripts, and evidence that it will show your progress. So that one, you do it within the first 1 month so that the PS can guarantee you approval to continue learning before, contrary to that regulation of finishing 2 years. Otherwise, if you're not undergoing any course as at the time of appointment, then you're supposed to wait for 2 years, and that period you are concentrating with learning your job, because the first 2 years is actually for training to do your job. The only exception for this State Department is for those who have not been, who are appointed and they do not have pedagogy. If you do not have pedagogy because you belong to a specialized qualification that was exempted for pedagogy during the appointment, then you are required within the 2 years to ensure that you have acquired your pedagogy. Failure to which it may lead to stagnation, lack of career progression, and sometimes to termination due to non-performance as required by the regulations. So I want you to get me very clearly that within the first 2 years, you are not required to be attending any courses except pedagogy, and this you must also disclose to the PS through a request for course approval. And further details will be guided as we do the detailed induction. Now, thank you very much for that particular brief, which I believe you have gotten it very clearly. Now, I want to take you to the process of payroll processing. Our payroll processing is done through the Government Human Resource Information System, whereby we are allocated what is called Unified Payroll Number, UPN, and this is what will take you to the payroll and eventually ensure that you are paid. So without a payroll number, then you may not be able to be paid. I know you have already, since you reported, it's now 1 month, and there is a likelihood that you will spend a few more days, a few more months without salary. So this process is supposed to fast track that process. We are supposed to get what the information you're going to provide today is going to assist us to be able to fast track your process so that you can get in the payroll as soon as possible. So today I'll be sharing with you a Google form. That Google form you will be required to answer the questions. The Google form has questions, you answer those questions as accurately as possible so that the process will be seamless on our end. For instance, if you are asked to provide your name, you need to provide your name as it is on the ID number and the ID card, sorry, and provide the details you requested. You ask to provide your ID number on that Google form. You make sure you have your ID so that you don't miss on any digit or you don't confuse any of the digits and all other information that you will require. It's important that you take this very seriously and ensure that the details captured are as accurate as possible. So in that Google form, you will be required to provide your name, your salutation. Salutation means whether you are Mr., Miss, Mrs., MS, or Doctor, provide that salutation. You'll be required to provide your KRA PIN number. Make sure you capture it as accurately as it is. You'll be required to provide your national identity card number. Please make sure you provide it as it is. Otherwise, it may result to you missing out in payment or in entering to the payroll. You'll be required to enter your names starting with the surname. Surname is the family name and is usually the last name of the ID. Sometimes some IDs have mixed up the family names, but we take whatever is last on your ID as the surname. So please ensure that the surname that you put is also your last name on your ID. The other names, first name, other names, you can indicate them, or those that you have. Then we have the date of birth. Date of birth, please ensure you do it accurately. The date of birth as reflected on your birth certificate. Then we have birth certificate entry number. Birth certificate entry number. You please do this when you are having your birth certificate. Not the serial number of the birth certificate, but we are talking about entry number. So look at the left-hand side of your birth certificate is where it is written entry number. Then you put that number as it is. Some are stroke something, others are have some letters. So ensure that you have that as it is. Where you are required to provide your gender, please do so. Ethnicity. Ethnicity, kindly provide your ethnicity. And for avoidance of doubt, the ethnicity that is yours is normally the ethnicity of your father. So if your parents are married across ethnic groups, so take up the ethnicity of your father, and that should be your ethnicity. Home county, as indicated on your ID card, sorry. Home sub-county, also as indicated. Then all the other requirement aspects, such as your qualification. We have the questions are there relating to your qualification. Please ensure that you provide the information as required by the questions. This information will be very crucial for us to provide. You will also be required to provide your email address. You'll be required to provide your, we are talking about home county, the date you reported at your station. Here, you provide the date you accepted the offer of appointment. Then you'll be required to provide your current station, that is your institution, and it will be, you can select it. Please, if you have had a change of posting, pick the institution where your posting has been changed to. And only a station that you have a letter. If you are planning to have a change of posting, but you have not received a letter, don't please put the station you intend to change to, but please put the one you have reported to. This information will be corroborated with what's in the file, and those files that will have contradictory information will be put aside for investigation, and that will delay the time you receive your salary. If you have worked with the government before, either in civil service, in parastatus, or in TSC, or in the county government, there's a question where you are asked to say if you have worked with the government before, and if yes, you will indicate the last month that you are paid by that organization, and also you will then be asked about whether you have a bachelor's degree. You indicate so, and you will be required to indicate the university where your bachelor's degree is coming from. Then you will be asked to give the serial number of the university of your degree, and of course, the date of graduation. You will be required to provide that information. If you have a higher diploma, you will then also indicate whether you have it, and indicate the examination body for the higher diploma. Higher diplomas come from NEC and other organizations. So you provide the serial number of that higher diploma and the date of completion. If you have a diploma, as your highest qualification, you will do the same, answer the appropriate questions and answers. Then you will also be required to provide your email address, your phone number. Required to provide your phone number. You will also be required to provide your bank account details, starting with the bank name, for example, Cooperative Bank or Equity. Then we expect you to provide the branch. Branch could be Murang'a, Kawangware. You will be expected to provide the account number. That account number, provide it as accurately as it is. If you miss digits, it may read that your finances, your funds, will either bounce back from the bank or be deposited in someone's account. If there are zeros, ensure that the number of zeros that are supposed to be there are accurate. We require. So shortly after this, I'm going to put the link, putting up the link for that Google form on the chat box, so that you are able to see it, and the timeline for filling that the Google form will be by midnight today. The form will be deactivated by midnight to this evening, so that we can start processing. Your payroll numbers. So with those very many remarks, I want to ask if anybody has a question, or I've not seen whether you have shared questions on the chat box. But
yes, Director.
If you want to ask a question, yes.
Yeah. So the first question is those who are interns and they have PF numbers, do they need to fill? Will the PF number change?
Okay, let me respond to that. We have asked in the questions, we have asked about whether you have worked in the government or state corporations or county governments. That will mean you have a personal number already. So if I would need to confirm, if your answer is yes, then we will be required to provide the PF number. If you have worked, you provide the PF number, because that PF number that you have used as an intern or as a county government official will not change. That is the number that will be used to pay you. In that case, we'll have to want to know when you are last paid in the other sector, and then we process. So there'll be a question requiring you to say yes, you have been worked in the government before, including as a PS intern, and then you'll be required to pay to provide the payroll number. Thank you. Next.
Yeah, the next question is there's somebody on the appointment letter, they had a misspelled name. What should they do?
I said that very clearly, that you provide your name as is on your ID. The names you provided as correctly as it is on your national ID card.
I think they are asking on the basis that it is required to be filled in the form by midnight.
Honorina, sorry.
Yeah, so they are asking that question on the basis that the birth certificate entry number is required on the form.
The question was, is it about names of the birth certificate or names of the letter of?
Okay, the somebody who has been given a letter of appointment, and the appointment letter, instead of writing Evans, they just wrote Vance without E. So
Now,
they were asking how to correct that.
they don't correct the letter, but they capture in this Google form the names as they are in their ID. The aspect of checking whether those names tally with the offer letter is our responsibility. Okay. There are even cases where the ID number may have had an error or may not be the same as what was in the offer letter. That is our responsibility, because we have to take it further to investigate and be sure that you are actually the actual person who was appointed. So if there's an error in our appointment letter that does not tally with your documents, that is a case for us to investigate. But we are filling this form. Please fill it as your ID, national ID card details, the number as it is in the ID card and the name as it is. Thank you.
Yeah. So another question they were asking about the 2 years rule of not taking courses. They were asking whether the KSG courses as well.
Yes, even the KSG, the only course that is exempt is the pedagogy. The KSG courses, all that, you have to wait for 2 years.
Okay. Another question is, there are those who don't have a birth certificate, but in the form, there is a number that is required that's supposed to come from the birth certificate. What should they do?
Those who do not have birth certificates, please don't fill the form. You will need to wait until you have the birth certificate. So once we receive by midnight, those who have not filled, because we have the main database, we shall set them aside, because those have do not have enough details to process their payroll numbers. So their files will be put aside, and this is the time that they have provided the required details. And please ensure that you don't give fake ID numbers or fake birth certificate numbers, because we normally corroborate that information with the National Registration Bureau. Thank you.
Yeah, then there are several who are concerned about hardship allowance.
Thank you very much. I did not talk about hardship allowance when I'm talking about remuneration, but that is as an automatic allowance designated for people working in particular areas. So if you are working in a designated hardship areas, the allowance will automatically come to be on your payslip.
Yeah, so I think that is it. Most of the other questions are revolving around what we have discussed, and the recording will be shared.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Rina, you can assist me to
share the form. I've already shared
share
the form.
Okay.
Yeah, they already have it.
Yes. So we have agreed by midnight tonight. Rina, you will close that link so that nobody else feels it after that. Thank you very much. Olina, I am not sure whether that was there a provision for them to provide the payroll number for those who have asked the question?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. And I want to say thank you very much to everyone, to the technical team led by Orina and the Marimu team and all the participants. I think we are now to 1.9. That is a very good number. And please let us now log out and start filling the form. Thank you. Sorry, hello, Orina?
Yes, yes.
You can see some hands, eh?
Okay, maybe we can
Speak on those
allow
ones.
them to speak.
The first?
Yeah, Rosbella.
No. Rosbella, speak. We encourage you to use the chat box frequently.
The link. I can't access the link.
Okay, maybe now you need to follow. There are people who have responded on the chat with the link without the information.
Maybe you can
be able to access it. Yeah.
You can resend again the link.
Yeah.
And we shall see whether we can share the link with the principals, but I really wanted the link to be shared with only those who are in this meeting. And the number looks good. Any other?
Agnes, maybe. Proceed. We cannot hear you. Kiprono, you can unmute.
And please, instead of raising your hands, I can see the hands are going to 26. Please put your questions on the chat box. It's easier and faster to handle that.
Yeah.
Okay, my question was, if my station was changed, do I indicate the reporting day of the first station or the second?
I said the reporting day you indicate as signed in your offer letter.
Okay.
No, when you're accepting the offer, you indicate the date. That's the date you will indicate. For all of you, thank you. Rina, have you seen any other chat, any other questions on
the chat? They are just asking about the link, and their colleagues are resharing the link, which I think should work.
It is okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I think then let's close the meeting.
Yes, yes.
And we continue discussing. And Honorina, make sure that everybody is logged out of this meeting.
Yeah,
we don't want the meeting to continue after this. Thank you very much. And bye-bye.
Okay.